we see today. And, yes, and it is growing even larger with each passing day, moment, second, millisecond. Thanks to several other groups and organizations in the area for being among our allies in the resistance, including Indivisible Peoria area, Fired Up for Democracy. We have the Universalist Unitarian Church has been a stalwart supporter. We have people from Canton that told me they were coming in for us. Let's hear it for Canton.
Yeah!
Central Illinois Friends, which has hosted a lot of our meetings. Peorians for reproductive health care. And many, many more. Is that a chant? We are a nonpartisan, nonviolent, emphasize nonviolent, resistance movement opposed to the authoritarian takeover of American democracy and the assault on our Constitution, our civil rights, our health, our economic well-being, and much more by he who shall not be named. Number 47.
MAGA Mussolini.
Elon Musk. Stephen Goebbels Miller. Where does this list end? And their billionaire allies. We are reclaiming our power from corrupt politicians, from corporate elites, from the ultra-wealthy. We will not be intimidated by Trump, Musk, Miller, Bondi, Doge, and their billionaire backers.
Yeah.
We are the many. They are the few. 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 Billionaires don't save the day, tax the rich and make them pay. Billionaires don't save the day, tax the rich and make them pay. Billionaires don't save the day, tax the rich and make them pay. Billionaires don't save the day, tax the rich and make them pay. I mean pay. Not with blood. We're nonviolent, okay? Not cryptocurrency either, it's worthless. Okay, we have several wonderful speakers to present today. We're pleased to welcome them and their deep commitment to democracy, social and economic justice, and more, to tell their compelling stories representing truth to power. Our first speaker is Reverend Jennifer Innes, minister with the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria. She came to Peoria in 2020 after growing up in New England and serving churches in the South and Southwest, including 12 years in Texas. She and her family love being part of the Peoria community and supporting recent efforts to welcome everyone and address struggles around race and economics. She has been a valued member of our movement to protect and preserve democracy. Please give a hearty welcome to Reverend Jennifer Innes. Jennifer.
Okay, behind the. All right. So I want to thank you for that introduction and the welcome here. So I want to say, given that May Day is our inspiration, I want to start there. The fight for safe working conditions, a livable wage, and time to take care of one's life and family has been a constant effort in our human history. 100 years ago, we were in the midst of a wildly imbalanced financial system, of industrialists being far and away wealthier than the workers that produced the products, that dug the coal, that ran the railroads, and more. 90 years ago, Franklin Delano Roosevelt put in place a New Deal that employed people, started Social Security, and spurred industry and economy. Our modern society was built on good jobs, good pay, and maybe even safe working conditions, and expectations of a decent quality of life. We have a long way to go with equality, with rights for all races, and caring for the environment, but boy, we have learned so much. We have learned so much. And now many of those systems are being dismantled and brushed aside for the sake of enriching a few all over again. In our new age of wealth imbalance, a very few are paying for the influence at the expense of individuals losing work and careers. Whole departments and sectors that improve our lives are being taken apart. Health and food quality and the environment and regulation all being broken down. Lives have already been lost in this country and amongst our global neighbors who depended on our commitments for food and medicine. Shame on us. And a wealthy few are expecting further benefits and tax breaks and stock increases in the months to come, while those of us here and around the vast majority of the people are seeing losses in jobs and rising costs and the impossibility of making it day to day. But here is where I take heart. I take heart in how unions and employees are calling out the unfair and illegal terminations, fighting for their jobs, fighting to restore offices that protect consumers and security and national parks among, it's so many. I mean, it seems like a good idea to keep staffing our nuclear systems. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. Winning these lawsuits has happened again and again. It makes a difference, even if so much needs to be repaired after such unnecessary and mean destruction. People are speaking about the value of their work, what their lives mean to them. People are making visible their individual selves and giving faces to the people who have lost their positions, and how all of that visibility undermines the narrative of waste and casual dismissal of human worth. So I take heart from how we are learning and articulating about our interconnected nature of our society and of our economies. The budget cuts that would take away Medicaid are devastating and dehumanizing enough. And care for the most vulnerable is an indicator of our civil strength. We are fallen short. We are showing a side of despicable callousness and cruelty. But what also happens with those losses of these supports is the loss of the jobs that made them happen. Programs that depend on federal funding cannot continue not to serve and not to have staff. And that directly impacts places such as Epic here in Peoria, right? We love Epic. Direct caregivers and staff and administrators will not have jobs, either further adding pressure on individuals and our whole communities. So, let me wrap up, a little change of note in the wrapping up, how we are between May 1st and May 4th. So stay with here for a minute. We have a bit of science fiction. In the Star Wars universe, May the Force be with you is a message of blessing and farewell. Tomorrow is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day. In that universe, the rebellion fights against an entrenched, oppressive, grasping empire. Every day, the rebels make progress against that. They do one act at a time, one person at a time. The Black teacher and author Adrienne Marie Brown tells us that organizing is science fiction. Organizing is science fiction. It is striving for a more just and compassionate world that lives in our imaginations. And we bring it to being here. We know that labor is strength, healthcare is strength, compassion is strength, and we are stronger together. Go forth, and may the Force be with you.
Wow. Thank you, Jennifer. Let's hear it for another powerful voice for social justice, labor, and so much more, Reverend Jennifer Innes. Thank you, thank you. Hands off. our Medicaid. Hands off our Medicaid. Hands off our Medicaid. Hands off our Medicaid. Hands off. Let's do another one. Hands off worker rights. Hands off worker rights. Hands off worker rights. Hands off worker rights. All right, let's hear it for labor. And anybody who was in labor today, by any chance. Do we have any? Medics? All right, up next is Hillary Wasson, a licensed clinical social worker and owner of that therapy place, which is right across the street here. She made time out of her day to come across the street and speak for us. She was the first therapist in Illinois to be credentialed in both SAN Play and internal family systems. She serves as affiliate professor at Bradley. She is active on TikTok, where her posts on social justice, trauma therapy, and Taylor Swift have gained her over 15 million views. Tay-Tay. All right. Her favorite role is being a mom to her 2 children. She vows to relentlessly fight for a better future for us all. Without further ado, please welcome Hillary Wasson. Stand back here.
All right, hi. Okay, let's get used to this. All right, hello everybody. Let's dive right in. I got to back up more. Is that good? Am I good? Okay. I think we should speak to what we know, and I know trauma, okay? And myself and most people in my field are in agreement that we are being psychologically abused in this country right now by Donald Trump and his MAGA cult. We will be studying the after effects of this administration from a trauma perspective for generations to come. Whether you agree or disagree about big government, I think that we can all agree that they're supposed to be there to help us and not traumatize us. So let's do a little quick psychology lesson here. But side note, we are being abused in many different ways. I'm just talking about the brain stuff right now because I had to pick a lane, but there's a lot going on here. Gaslighting is a term made popular by a 1944 film of the same name. It tells of a woman who notices flickering gas lights and other odd occurrences in her home. She asks her husband about it, and he says he's never seen that, so it must not be happening, so she must be crazy. I know it might seem shocking, but he's the villain and she was right. Well, we have been seeing flickering lights for 10 years in this country. Whenever our president, a MAGA congressman, or your boomer parents who haven't read a book in 10 years or watched anything besides Fox News tell you that you're wrong despite facts, evidence, reason, that's gaslighting. I have had to defend what it means to be a gender-affirming healthcare provider, which I am, and I am proud of it, and I will not stop. I am not turning your children gay or trans. My teacher friends don't have litter boxes in their classrooms, and they aren't performing gender reassignment surgeries on their students on their lunch breaks when their schools can't afford glue sticks. Having to use our professional expertise in this way to defend, not explain, not educate, we're happy to do that, but defend our work is exhausting. And let me just point out that it seems maybe a little bit inefficient. Please don't contact Doge because I already vomit a little bit at the Teslas going by here, but it seems a little ineffective. Many of us are getting more and more suppressed on apps that are not owned by Meta, like TikTok. I just got my 3rd community guidelines violation of the month yesterday. This one was for misinformation. I duetted a video from Dr. Rubin about the new cases of measles in Chicago. I guess passing along evidence-based content from a board-certified physician is considered, and I quote directly from my citation, inaccurate and may cause significant harm to individuals and society. Are we being punked?
Get off it.
Like Bluey says, is this for real life? I think we are all feeling very exhausted. And these flickering lights have become blinding and deadly. It's all become too much for anyone to ignore, but yet people still do. I can't imagine not being disgusted by what is happening to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, children's cancer research, women's rights. I could give 1,000 more examples, so please don't mistake my omission of an issue as to say that it's not important. It's also important, but there's just not enough time to mention all of the atrocities. That's why some of us have started to make umbrellas. It's like 8 signs in one. There's just too much for one sign. So now is the time to protest as much as we can. GeneralStrikeUS.com. Did you know it only takes 3.5% of the general population to participate in a general strike for it to be effective? When 3.5% of us sign our strike cards, which equals 11 million Americans, then they will put a date on the books for when we strike. Sign your strike card and send it to 5 people and ask them to sign their strike card and send it to 5 people and keep it going. So what's the antidote for gaslighting? Community! I get a lot of messages on TikTok after protests saying, I didn't know that was happening, and my response has been the same. Seek the information out. You can't expect it to fall in your lap. You have to follow local resistance groups on various different platforms, but you have to check the pages for updates because we are being suppressed. Again, you have to do the work. Seek validation from trusted sources. Some people still have the energy to sit down with MAGA and talk with them, but a lot of us are tired. It's okay to want to be around people who feel safe. We know our truth, we know our values, and we know that Donald Trump has never been good for this country. Another tip to think about, our brains have not yet caught up to the current influx of information that we are bombarded with on a daily basis. This is not normal or healthy. My patients and I create habits to prevent burnout, intentional news consumption, maybe only looking at the highlights of the news once a day for a set amount of time. If you need to unplug entirely for a few days, ask a trusted loved one to be your notification, but only if something big happens. Then you return the favor when your battery is charged. To close, I'll leave you with this. It's pretty common knowledge that a hug releases oxytocin, which is the love hormone and kind of a little bit like an instant pain reliever. But it only happens if you get a hug that lasts as little as 6 seconds, but ideally about 20 seconds. But a little hack that I'll teach you is that if you take your hand and put it over your heart, like this, that tricks your brain and it thinks you're getting a hug from somebody. I know, which you are, you're getting a hug from yourself. And it does the same thing. It releases just a little bit of oxytocin. So I think we all need all the help we can get, so be kind to yourself and give yourself a heart hug along the way, and let's keep up the fight.
Thank you, Hillary. Let's give it up for Hillary Rawson. No more gaslighting. 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 I'm not worn out. I got to get recharged for a second. We do have one more speaker to enlighten us with Speak Truth to Power. Our final speaker is Sarah Velez Howard. Sarah is a board member of Peorians for Reproductive Health Care. She's an opposition researcher. Oh, Oppo research. Great. Currently working for Reproductive Health and Freedom Watch. She serves as secretary for WIN, that's Women in NAACP, Peoria chapter. Please give it up for Sarah Velez Howard. Sarah, come on up. Let's stand back.
Hi guys. I need to move up. All right. Hi. So I'm here to talk about the picture of reproductive rights in America. It's pretty bleak, but there's actually a lot we can do about it. I know that since the pro-life rapist first took office, the first time, you guys have felt, and especially in the last 100 days, the ground shift underneath you towards, in the posture towards women's rights. And we're here today because we are that ground shift. We're gonna shift it back, okay? Just to recap everything that's happened so far under Trump, thanks to stealing the Supreme Court seats and the Dobbs decision, we've had a cascade of abortion bans become law all over the country, and with that has been a cascade of really horrible things, worsening maternal outcomes and infant outcomes. We got more dead moms and dead babies because of the bans. We have doctors who are fleeing ban states, maternal health care deserts worsening. You know, it's like only in America do doctors feel like they have to wait until a patient is on death's door and about to go septic before they feel that they can intervene and save their life. That is so messed up. So, sorry, I'm trying to remember what I wrote. Another thing they're doing is the DOJ has announced that they're not going to enforce the FACE Act. That's the federal law that protects abortion clinics. It protects patients from being harassed on their way to the door. They are, I need to get what I wrote. It's all coming in my brain at once because it's so much nonsense. Yeah, the zone is flooded. Ah, yes, under HHS. All right. So they want to change sex ed for our kids. They want to make it so that they don't know what consent is. They want to give them inaccurate and incomplete information that puts our kids' health and futures at risk. So this is all awful stuff. If these people had it their way, we'd be damned if we do and damned if we don't. We can't have an abortion if we need it or want it, but also we wouldn't be able to prevent them either. We would, my brain keeps emptying, sorry. Thanks. You know the thing with Comstock law, that was an old vice hunting law that became an embarrassment. We stopped enforcing it a long time ago, but they want to use it. They want to bring it to the Supreme Court, and in that way they can force a backdoor national ban. And also, sorry, I'm really bad at this. So basically, like, that's the picture. It's so bad, it's so bleak. But I want to talk to you about dreams, because that sounds corny, but that's actually where it starts. That's actually where we take our power back. Because let me remind you that Project 2025, a bunch of dorks wrote a 900-page document about what they want to do to us, how they want to control us. That's just their dream. I know they make it feel like this can't be changed and that's how it always was. That's not true at all, guys. It's just their dream. Their dream for us is a nightmare. But actually, like, what do we dream? We dream, like, how about we take the culture war out of healthcare? How about we just let abortion be healthcare? Because it is. How about we write public policy that actually treats family planning as a moral and social good? Because it is. How about we treat pregnant patients not as stupid or evil, but as moral decision makers who know themselves and what's best for themselves better than anyone else? How about a world where Every person is free to access education and resources and services so that they can choose if, when, and how they want to be a parent. And raise those kids in safe communities with good schools and good jobs. That's what we dream for everybody. That's the dream. So, here's what we can do. There's a few things that we can tangibly do right now. One of them is, please, if you haven't, and if you feel so moved, please sign up to be a volunteer clinic escort at our local Planned Parenthood. You do that by going to the Planned Parenthood website. There's a link to volunteer, and you need to fill it out. They'll vet you. Obviously, they have to, and then you'll be able to do a training. But because we're one of the few abortion haven states, they bus in crazy people to harass it, and it's ratcheting up. And of course, with the FACE Act, they're more at risk than ever. The most important thing is for patients to feel safe going in and out of the facility. We need folks standing there and just looking out and reporting if anything seems suspicious. We really need folks to do that. The other thing you can do is that you can donate to abortion funds. That's become a regular monthly donor, like a subscription. It doesn't matter if it's just $5 or $10. Any amount that they can count on makes all the difference. We have 2 local abortion funds. One of them is Midwest Access Coalition. They're based in Chicago, but they help folks across the region. They handle everything. They move mountains, they do the logistics, they cover the costs of travel for lodging, food, childcare, anything for a patient coming from a banned state as far away as Texas. These people literally do God's work, and they need our help. They are drowning. The other abortion fund is Chicago Abortion Fund. They cover the costs of the procedure itself. They work together, those 2 abortion funds. Now, so that's mutual aid, guys. Mutual aid is how we make true the reality, the dream that we want to make now. What we want to make, I said that weird. The reality that we want to make now. You support mutual aid to make that tangibly true for people now, while we fight for the policy change that we want in the future, because we know that's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a really long uphill battle. So thank you so much for dealing with my scrambled brain, and just know that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. Thank you.
All right, let's hear it for Sarah Velez Howard. Let's hear it for reproductive rights. Hands off our bodies. 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 Damn it, you better keep your hands off. That's all I can tell you. All right. Well, thanks to each of the amazing speakers, so dedicated to our shared cause that we're here today. It's here from all 3 of them.